p.m.
All right. So the virtual meeting statement pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. The meeting of the Hubbardston Board of Health will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at www.hubbardstonma.us. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive records of the proceedings as soon as possible.
Okay, so the first item is to review the minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody have a chance to review those? Does everyone need a minute?
They looked okay to me. I did read them.
Judy, hop on. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Judy. We opened the meeting and we're just reading the minutes from the last meeting.
Yep, I know. I was talking to Sandy. That's why I'm late.
No worries.
The meeting minutes look good to me.
All right, so given that, I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as written. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor from, let's start with Judy.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, Colleen,
It's okay.
Vin? You're on mute, Vin. All right, Kathy?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Let me. Let's see if Vinny can see the chat. All right.
Come in, Rangoon. Come in, Rangoon.
We got you now, Vin.
I can't see myself.
No, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay.
Were you in favor of the last motion?
Yes. There I am.
There you are.
Better now. Okay.
We're cooking with gas now. Let's see.
Okay, wait, yeah. I haven't heard that in a long time.
My mom used to always say that, except
Mine also.
we never had a gas stove. I don't know where she got it from, but we had an electric stove.
That's awesome. All right. So the next item on the agenda is a COVID-19 update, starting with Halloween. Mallory?
So we had gotten a email of concern from a resident who lives on Main Street in regards to Halloween and trick-or-treating and how we can do it safely. I've kind of put the feelers out to our public safety. I spoke with the chief of police and he feels like we can still make this happen. He has the manpower. He's extended the trick-or-treat times an hour. He's not concerned at all. But I did tell the resident we would make sure that I'd bring it to the board's attention. If anyone had any concerns, we could talk about them. But the chief of police was still 100% for it. He's got enough coverage and plenty of candy.
And there's 3 CERT members that have stepped forward as well. The usual 3, Colleen, Bella, and Chuck. And if needed, I can get out there too. I'll probably be out there anyway because my grandson's coming up.
Yay.
Any other comments from the board? Kathy or Vin, Colleen?
I have
I
a
s-
couple
I
of
s-
comments. To put things in
Go ahead.
perspective, I'm sorry, am I,
Yep,
On the
go ahead,
call?
Vin.
okay. I read the letter from Lori Churchill, and putting it into context of what is happening over the last week with the spikes and the different areas that are going on, and whether or not I was unable to ascertain whether or not we actually are now a red town or not, but apparently there's been some concern that we are increasing our numbers. I don't have any problems with Halloween. Certainly don't have any problems with everybody having a good time. I know it's an awfully important thing for the children, but like everything else, there are consequences I think we need to consider. And clearly the first consequence is the spreading of the virus to anybody who may be susceptible in the homes that live along Main Street. But the other consequence that has got me more concerned is the idea that if there is an outbreak and somebody spikes, and because we're dealing with children, is that going to mean that we would have a situation at school that might force them to go to a remote learning situation, which seems to be happening in many communities that have had these outbreaks? And I think that type of consequence is probably something none of us want to see, because we've been real lucky here in Quabbin region that we have on premises classes, and I don't particularly think remote's a great idea. So my concern is that if we do have an outbreak or something happens where you put that many people in one space, do we want to consider those consequences?
Yeah, of course.
Well, that was part of my conversation with Sandy. That's why I was talking to her. Because she does all the numbers here for Hubbardston, and I do all the numbers for Barry. And
Excuse me, Judy, who are you speaking with? I didn't catch what you said.
Sandy Knight.
Oh,
Our
Sandy
public
Knight.
health nurse.
Okay,
Yeah, she does the numbers. Sue Avalon does the numbers for Gardner. And just recently, and I can't remember her name, I was in touch with the gal that does the numbers for Rutland. We are beginning to see the corona is creeping back in. Our bubble of protection seems to be cracking. But right now, we're still down. I did get a call from the school saying that they have cases in the school, and they're putting all of their protocols, they're activating all of their protocols. So, but a lot of the cases are coming as clusters. Mount Wachusett has had an outbreak at the community college. Monty Tech is now shut down for 2 weeks because they had an outbreak. I traced some cases that came through, they were all negative, but I traced them back. And that was because of a sports event. So yeah, our little bubble is cracking out here, but you know, people have been really, really good about, you know, wearing masks. If they do test positive, they've been really good about, you know, hunkering down and following all the rules. Right now I have one case where he's spending his time, he's living in the basement, and then the rest of the family is living on the first floor. Some of them have actually moved out to the RV, you know, so people are getting creative in order to meet all the rules and regs. So I'm concerned, and I think Sandy's watching it very carefully, and I'm watching it carefully, and I know the other two, because we doing a lot of cross communication right now. But we're, I think while we can enjoy a little bit of normalcy. And we'll just keep an eye on where the bubble is. If you calculate, there's like two different ways of looking at this thing. One is just looking at raw numbers, which is what Tina was looking at. And I have the chart. And the other one is looking at positivity rates and other percentages like that. And if you go out and look at the positivity rates, or you look at the other calculations, we're still down, way down, and we're still in a good space. So take it from there. I'm fine with, having Halloween. We may, if there's Christmas activities, maybe a whole different story.
Right. And Mallory, before we kicked off the meeting, you'd mentioned in passing that there was a school in your family impacted. Which schools are having clusters around us? Judy, do you happen to know? Is it Hubbardston and Barry?
Hubbardston,
In the
and Barry.
elementary school?
Yep.
How
This
come
came
we didn't hear about it?
It hasn't come up on Maven yet. I heard about it through the school itself.
I thought they were gonna let us know.
Yeah, it was this afternoon at 4:30.
Oh,
Yeah, it literally just was happening today, so
okay.
it wouldn't have come through Maven yet.
Nothing's come through yet. We're still trying to gather all the information.
Right. So,
But
that's
what I
fundamentally,
said. They're putting all their protocols. They're activating all of their protocols.
right. So we still have 4 active cases, right? But because of
No,
our,
she said 3.
gotcha. Because of our population rate, Vin, that's one of the reasons why we're marked as red, because it's,
Pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has more to do with our population.
yeah.
But, that changes from day to day. That's why, you really can't go by that chart. You have to go by, the calculations. And the calculations are always, and you can calculate day by day if you want to. I mean, if you're that nerdy, but, you can calculate it out day by day. So you don't even have to rely on the chart that comes out week to week. So Sandy and I have made, we've said that we'll stay in touch with each other, and I'll bring it back to the Board of Health if anything changes.
Gotcha. Kathy or Colleen, anything to add?
No, I have nothing.
So the case in the elementary school, is it one case that tested positive and now they're dealing with that?
No, they
And
actually have 2 classrooms involved. I don't know all of the details. Like I said, just got the call at 4:30 this afternoon because Kim, the supervisor for the nursing staff, called me. So
Judy, are they continuing with in-person learning?
they are with the other classes.
Okay.
So. But they're notifying all parents involved with those 2 classes, and they're going to shut down the classes for 2 weeks for those 2. So they'll be doing remote. Well, and then the schoolroom will be disinfected.
I guess if we find out if it's one student in each class or whatever, we could still put that all out with Ryan's letter on Thursday to everyone in town.
Like I
And-
said, like I said earlier,
And
that
also
I get
say-
twitchy with numbers, though.
Yeah. Because the report we got
Well,
from Tina
his
this morning
letter
said,
does not say anything about numbers, Judy.
Good.
This letter just has to really remind everyone, and we can delete the numbers if that's the problem you're having.
Well, they
But
they
people
change from
kinda
my day
wanna
to day.
know. They do change, and we can put that in.
Mhm.
But I do think it is important that people know there are some cases showing up now where for 3 months we didn't have anything.
Right.
And people
Put
need to
it
know
that way, that's fine.
become more prudent in what they're doing.
Right.
Because I've been to 2 different perk tests and watched my neighbors across the street, and they're not masking. They're just not doing it. And these are all seniors, citizens. And they're asking for trouble. I have to say, where's your masks?
Lost Kathy. All right. So with
Yeah,
that,
Kathy's right. We need to kind of remind the town, to be careful, follow the 5 rules of good health.
Mhm.
And she's right. But I just, my only concern is I would like to see it in more general terms.
Yeah.
It's just that we had a case over
I'm
in,
for the truth. I'm for the truth. And the truth is we have had this many, and we've had so many in the first 3 weeks, and people need to know that. They need to know that it's not just wishy-washy reminders going out.
my only thing is like, when they first started seeing cases in Barry, we suddenly had, a call in wanting to know, well, where were they? What did they do? Where did they go? What did they touch? And it's like, hello, calm down, but I just don't want to bring in a,
Well, then
oh my God
they,
event.
the final sentence should just say, if you have any concerns that you may, direct them to your family physician. I think we need to do that.
That sounds good.
And then we can also put the final reminders for everyone that trick or treating is on. Wear your masks. Stay with your own groups. Don't eat your candy while you're walking down the street. Take hand sanitizer. All the things that the state is saying, and that can be the final thing, which is slightly more upbeat.
which is an echo of what the police chief also put out.
Exactly.
Police chief put out a really nice thing today and reminded trick-or-treaters that if lights are off, to respect the decision of the homeowner and all that good
Oh, he
stuff.
did. I missed that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fight coyotes eating my chickens, so
Oh no.
I have other issues to worry about.
Oh,
Mostly fixing fence. I spent 4 hours fixing fence.
Sorry, I lost my chickens to a hawk, so I sympathize.
Well, anyhow, on to the next subject.
So any more discussion about Halloween? We had already kind of voted in a direction, so I don't think we need to vote unless somebody wants to make a motion to the antithesis, and we'll move on.
I'm okay with just moving on.
All right, I'm just trying to find the agenda amongst all my pages that are open. All right, the next is the MPHN nursing report. I don't see anything listed there, so nothing on
Yeah.
that, Mel.
I have nothing new to add. Judy, the report I got from Tina, because she sends out a report she's working for MPH and she's the school nurse and gardener. She had 4 active cases on her list this morning. So does that mean like one just fell off and became inactive? Is that how it works?
Yeah,
I've never looked in Maven, so.
yeah, that's why I say the numbers change. People can come off, other people come on. So
Right.
one day it could be 0, the next day it could be 5.
Okay. Not to confuse anyone or anything, but.
Exactly.
Awesome. So I don't have anything there. I just have one more COVID update. I heard from John at Rieta Ranch that he's going to be closing early this year. With our numbers going up, he just didn't want to risk it anymore. So he is open this Sunday and next Sunday. He was planning on going all the way through November, weather permitting, but as of the 8th, he's done. So the water is scheduled to be drained from the system that Monday, and everything will be shut down.
Thanks for that update.
Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda is failed systems awaiting action.
So 10 Main Street, Tula called me this afternoon and said she got her letter, but she's not gonna be able to make our meetings because of work. So I asked her for an update. She said she finally got all 3 estimates and we should have her application for the Title V loan program when I come in tomorrow morning, waiting in the silver box. So I will send you all an update on, well, tomorrow when I come in.
Any questions on that from the board? All right, moving on to past failed Title Vs, 3 Dogwood and 11 Gardner.
2 of them that passed. I sent both copies out. I know at least 5 more that are coming through. All of them have passed as well. So property is flying in Hubbardston.
Right. All right, anything else on those?
Nope.
They're just passed.
Yeah.
There are no permit items to be voted on? Anything sneak in under that title? No.
Nope, not yet.
Open repairs or inspections and plans and review.
So pretty much, there's a
Okay.
couple. Oh, go ahead.
106 Old Princeton. We're
Yep.
just waiting.
Yep.
59 Brigham. I took photos of the bed bottom and the septic tank is in. I'm still waiting to hear if the whole thing's ready to go back and review. 35 Mount Jeff is new construction. Completion is not done yet.
Did they
50
contact you to get started?
35 Mount Jeff has a system laid in.
Okay.
And that's where it's at. 51 Root Road, I have no idea what they're doing. I think it's just open and waiting.
Yeah.
68 New Westminster, I did last week. The perk passed. 174 Gardner Road, the perk was done last week. That passed. No callbacks yet as to going back for bed bottoms and so on and so forth.
The plans are
one
still in the works for that one.
Right. 106 Gardner Road, the perk for replacement passed, but no plans yet, at least none that I'm aware of.
Nope, not yet.
18 New Westminster. I'm doing this Thursday. Yes.
Thursday. Yep.
39 Williamsville Road, the perk for repair passed. 2 Cross. Mallory, have you heard if they went back and regraded and seeded that yet?
I've not heard back from them yet, so I'll reach out again.
Crossroad Gallant.
Yep. So you did that perk with Rich Stevens in the springtime, and I just got plans in, and Matt dropped
Okay.
them off this afternoon as passed.
Okay, and there's one more. Hang on.
Oh.
Oh. Let me get to my page where I write them all down. Are you aware of 92 Morgan Road?
Doesn't ring a bell. Do you know who it is?
John Delane from Delane Engineering.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's new construction. Has anything been filed with you? He claims
We might. Any perks I've gotten, I sent over. So
Yeah.
off the top of my head, it's not one that rings a bell, but it could have been because we have so many. So I'll highlight that to check on in the morning.
Oh, thank you. 92 Morgan Road.
And you think it's new construction?
So- Yeah, I believe it's new construction.
Okay.
That
So
would,
far.
that
this
would be at
year,
the top of the hill.
Yeah, that lot went on deposit, so it's probably that lot at the top of the hill, right at the intersection of Underwood and more.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay. So far I've done, well, once I get these next two done.
Oh,
then
Kathy, I sent you that application on the 22nd.
what is it? Oh,
The 22nd in your email, you'll have the 92 Morgan Road application for park.
sorry, for some reason I got booted off Zoom. So I will check the October 22nd email.
I just resent it to you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So after I get these done, I'll be at like 38, 39
Yeah.
this year.
Thanks, Kathy, for handling our Hubbardston growth boom.
In that regard, I do want to later at some point discuss getting an advertisement out to get someone hired.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
have that
we-
under new business.
that's what
Okay.
I was gonna say.
I'll
All right.
let
So
it go. Yep,
next item on
that's
the
it.
agenda is open complaints.
So I guess we're gonna start with 248 Gardner Road. I know I sent you all some information in regards to 232 Gardner Road, which is a property that abuts 238. Oh my God, 248. Bob and Kathy Newton. So they gave a call in over the weekend. They were walking up their property and noticed that there was some garbage and a dumpster placed on their property. So they called the dumpster company, and the trash company was great to them. They gave them all the information on who the dumpster was rented to. So it was rented to a Michael Thompson at that 248 Gardner Road. And he, Bob Newton, explained to the trash company, "You're on my private property. I do not want your dumpster here." The dumpster has since been removed as of this afternoon. I spoke with Bob and Kathy Newton, and they had gone over and taken all trash from their property and placed it back on 248 Gardner Road. Not that it makes the situation better, but they cleaned up their side. So the kind of spoke with the police chief in regards to this, because as the Board of Health, we can tell someone to clean up their own property, but we can't tell someone to clean up another person's property. So we can't victimize the victim anymore. So we can't go to 248 Gardner Road and say, "Hey, you have to clean this up." It's more of a civil issue then. And the police are handling the issue at the Newtons as a civil matter. And going to be taking care of the illegal dumping, because they have Mass General laws that allow them to do that, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I hope
Any
so.
questions from the board on that one?
So, but as far as 248 goes, he did get me a history of the property for the last few months. So this Michael Thomason, who put the dumpster, called for the dumpster at 232, is running a trash service, a clean out service. And he posts all over Facebook, he advertises, and in one of the police reports that I sent over, the person who's acting as owner of the property at 248 Gardner Road states that he is allowing him to do so on that property.
Well, this Thompson guy
Yeah.
is not there. As I got a email from Craig. I emailed
Okay.
him a second time. He's the owner of the property. I emailed him a second time. He gave me a listing of who is there. It's mostly family members. The Thompson is not there anymore, so they've been kind of left with having to clean it up. That big pile of furniture that was down at the bottom of the hill, that is basically what went into the dumpster at the top of the hill. Because I climbed all over it and I submitted somewhere around 15 pictures. I don't know if any of you got them, but
I forwarded them over.
yeah. So a lot of it looked, and the fire, there's evidently been 2 fires to burn this stuff. And that the fires, there are logs over there. It looks like they've been trying to clean it up. It looks, because things are, there's open, huh?
It's somebody
Good.
yelling at a dog.
Oh, sorry. The puppy's being naughty. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So I promised them that Jay and Taylor that I would be back every week to talk to them. And we'll keep an eye on it. What else did I find out?
Judy, did they say anything about the unregistered vehicles that were on the property?
I asked them about that and I warned them. I said, you can't keep unregistered vehicles on the property because you're just going to get yourself into more legal trouble. And I talked to Craig about it, and Craig said he was working with them to get rid of them.
Awesome.
So I think there has been some effort on their part to clean it up.
Great.
And I think we just need to stay on top of them.
Okay.
And I guess Craig is trying to be nice and try to get these folks to settle down and have a more normal life than getting themselves into trouble all the time. So, but
Like
there's about 6 or 7 members living in that house. There's kids, there's at least 3 kids and at least 4 adults.
Wow.
Well, I'd also recommend that we notify the zoning enforcement officer, because there's at least 3 zoning regulations that they're offending. That it's a business being run as a business in a residential agricultural zone. They have unregistered vehicles, more than one.
That's a police issue.
Excuse me?
It was determined that the police handle the unregistered vehicles.
Right.
That is a zoning ordinance, however. And also, I think that's clearly a junkyard. I think that's, again, and junkyards are prohibited in the town. So I'd like to have a recommendation sent to the building inspector or the zoning enforcement officer to have him check out the
Well,
violations.
Bill Holmes was up there also this weekend as well. So, and
No, he has no authority. He's simply on the planning board.
right. But, and there was a discussion about calling in the building inspector, and it was like sort of, well, was the response.
Well, zoning offenses are handled by the zoning enforcement officer, Judy. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm just saying what I got.
Yeah.
As an answer.
Anyone else want to weigh in? I mean, Vin, I agree with you. I think that, it's a shame that multiple boards have to be involved, but I think if we're gonna stay on top of them, it needs to be across all kind of offices of the town and unified. Otherwise, it's like, it's like a forest fire, and you have like 2 people fighting on 2 different sides of it and it blazes up in the middle. If we all kind of work at it from the front, it'll get put out.
I have a question.
Sure.
So are you saying earlier, I think I heard you say that the person, this Michael Thompson, doesn't live there anymore, but he was the cause of this?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay. So the
This
people
has been
that,
going on for years though, hasn't it? Like the property has been,
yeah,
when
Yeah, and the
filed
property,
Yeah,
owner, right.
that's the other flip side of the coin, is like, some of it up there looks like it's been sitting there for a long while. But then some of it also looks like it's, just been there for like the summertime or whatever. Like there's a couple of chairs and yeah, they're broken, but the seating and everything else is all intact, which if it had been sitting there for years, it would not have been.
Right. But Colleen, to your point, if the owner of the property allowed that person as a tenant to do that, to do that and hoard those things and have all that trash, then the owner is responsible ultimately, which
Right.
I think is how it was stated by the police in their documentation that was shared.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's exactly what they said, that the
I haven't,
whoever, it's
I haven't
not
looked at
Craig.
that.
It wasn't Craig, it was another person with the last name that started with the D that allowed them to use a 20 by 20 space to keep trash after cleanouts. But the police were right in saying that if you're the owner and the person who's claiming this property, it's your responsibility.
So the people that are living in there now actually are related to the landowner.
No, they're renting, the quote, renting to buy, unquote.
So they're not related.
No.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you said it was
To try to get a
They were family.
dealer's license.
they're
Yeah,
renting to
right.
own. Okay.
Renting.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Well, I
So-
agree with Kate and Vinny that we need to notify the other groups, the zoning and building both.
Yeah,
And,
I brought it to Roland's attention before, but I'll bring it up again.
yep. That'd be great.
Easy peasy.
Okay. Anything else? So we have 111. Did we already cover that one too? Because they were related. Because I got a little lost in the.
I went by there to talk to them and they weren't home. I haven't been back there.
I drove by this afternoon and it actually looks like they are working towards progress.
Well, what I saw looked like it was fairly organized. I mean, you could, you could drive your car into the driveway, so I
Yeah,
assume.
like a lot of the outside trash bags that were there have been cleaned up. We haven't had any contact with them, but it does look like they are making forward progress. So I guess we just monitor that one as well. And if we see it turning around or not continuing to make progress, then we reach out again.
Okay. And the last one is 28 Main Street.
So I got a call from a Hugh Richardson. He resides in Rhode Island, but he owns property on Main Street, which I later tracked down to 28 Main Street. He has for Phil Churchill, who's his neighbor, who he allows to use the property for things like riding bikes and quads and hiking and all that stuff. So sent some pictures along from Hugh of the trash that he found dumped on his property. I guess 5 or 6 years ago, we had the same issue with a neighbor dumping trash on his property. Looks like some tires and some appliances. And so he was just calling to make us aware of this as well. He did speak to the police department and he wanted to let us know in case someone or one of us wants to take a hike out to take a look at it. Phil Churchill is willing to take a member, or if needed, I can do it, out to the site to take a look at the refuse on the property. But again, this is a neighbor dumping on a neighbor, so it's civil. So I don't know that there's much that the Board of Health can do other than tell Mr. Richardson that he needs to clean the property. So if we want to take a walk out, we can. But my suggestion would be to continue to work with this in a civil matter. And if he has to take his neighbor to court, he has to prove who put it there first. So we can't, there's nothing really we can do besides have him maybe put trail cam up or suggest he put something up to catch someone in the act and continue to work with the police for trespassing and dumping, which again, the police have toothy laws that they can use and fine, and
Right.
we
Well,
don't have,
I mean, other than documenting it, which,
we did.
he's already done, he can
Mhm.
also document it through photographs. And I think recommendation I think the recommendation to refer him as a civil matter and also ask him to, potentially put up a trail cam would probably be the wisest move. But,
Great.
anyone else disagree? Have another
That
opinion?
sounds like a good idea, Kate.
I'm telling you, what's with all the trash dumping on people's land? Like,
I know, I saw another post on like the town Facebook page, someone doing it, and
like, I'm like
that's-
scratching my head. Like,
I don't understand why anyone would ever think that's okay, but
I don't know. So, all right, moving on to new business. Title V loan request for 19 Mount Jeff.
Yeah, so this one's kind of on hold. We're waiting for the homeowner to get back to us with which contractor she's going to be using. So she's had 3 estimates. 2 of them are kind of booking out. She's waiting to hear back from the 3rd one if she can move forward. We have approved plans, but we can't approve a loan without the amount, knowing how much it's going to cost. So we need to have her concrete answer on who she's going to use before we can move forward. So it's just kind of tabled for now, like it was last week or last meeting.
All right, and you want to review the fee for Title V?
Yeah, not the fee for Title V. So for review. So we get the reports into the office, and they're about 17 to 20 pages long, depending on the report. So personally, I go through the report. I kind of review everything, look for discrepancies, kind of match up, make sure that they're pumping for the amount of bedrooms that we have. I do things like I check the inspector's license on NUIPAC to make sure that they are licensed and still have a valid license. So a lot of towns local to us charge a fee for that, for a review fee. So a lot of times I get a review fee check in with new inspectors when they don't work often in Hubbardston but or get called in. So the standard review fee is $75 for a Title V review. So that fee would come into us, 80% would go in the general fund, 20% would go to our fund. And that's just something I wanted to bring to the board's attention because I think that's an opportunity we're missing, especially where the review takes so long, because I go through it, send it over to you guys, and then Kathy also comes in and takes a look at it in-house in office and signs off on them as well. So I went around and searched all of our kind of neighboring communities, and they all charge between 50 and 75. So I just want to kind of toss that out there that we're missing out on that.
Thoughts and comments from the board?
Mallory is spending time on that, and I think we probably should be consistent with other towns. We could probably set it at 50 initially. But the reason being, if we start getting additional hired help to do Perkins witnessing and so on, we're going to need the extra funds.
Right.
Mhm.
So in order for us to have a new fee or change fee prices, we have to hold a public hearing.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's any other items that we want to look at to kind of group them together in a public hearing, or how we want to handle it, if we want to wait until the first of the fiscal year to increase so we have like a consistent year, but I just wanted to put it out there so everyone can start thinking about it.
Yeah, I would say if we're gonna do it, we should group it together, do one public hearing, multiple topics if we have them.
Yep,
And
I
then,
agree.
It's also the public hearing you have to publish in the newspaper X many days before, so it'd be one
Yeah.
publication. And starting in the fiscal year, I think makes sense because it's nice clean accounting.
Yes.
But we're just gonna have to make sure we time it so that we do actually start on the beginning of the
Yeah.
fiscal year.
So I was thinking I could put it on the calendar for end of May to start looking at so that we can have it for our first June meeting. And then that will allow time for the public hearing to close and any people who want to appeal it or anything like that. And then we'll be able to start clean on FY 2022.
Very good. And to that end, we had discussed at some point looking at increasing the fee structure for things like the recycle center. And
Yep.
I think between now and then, it would make sense to review all of our fees and make sure they're in line and they're up to date with other municipalities of our size and scope. And then we could add a series of, fee increases or decreases to level set them.
Perfect.
And Mel, if you have a list of those and want to send them to me, I'm happy to research it.
Sure.
We may be wise to send this over to the town administrator and or to legal, because you're really not supposed to raise any fees unless it commensurate with what the cost of the fee is supposed to be raised for or to be charged for. And if I'm not correct, Mallory, this is part of, if this is part of your job description and you're being paid for that review, then we're raising a fee that is already being covered. If we're subcontracting it out to a professional to review, that's a different thing. But, fees are not supposed to be just arbitrary because we want to make money on them. And/or it would be convenient to have more money with it. So, I'm not opposed to raising the fee, but I think you need to check with the powers that be to make sure we're going to be.
This is definitely, if we had a board of health director, they would be doing it too, which is where the other communities, when they have directors or inspectors, I can tell you, we're probably the only community that doesn't charge for this.
Well, it may be so,
So
but that's
'cause
regardless
we get a
of what what the law is on fees. Just point that out.
Okay. I will bring it to Ryan's attention.
All right, sorry, I'm taking a note. All right, the next item was health inspector. That's weird.
So, we had kind of spoken before about MPHN services, and their bill, we have, which is coming up in the old business. And Kathy had stated that she wanted to put an ad out for a inspector to help with perks and stuff, but I just wanted to make sure before we put an ad together exactly what services we are going to be asking for. We're going to be asking for help with approving well permits. Are we going to be asking for help with food inspections, doing events like the fairs, going around doing those, just so we can get an accurate job description out. So I guess what services are we hiring for? Because it was kind of vague at our last meeting.
Sounds like a sanitarium that, health sanitarium that your
Can't hear you, Judy.
What is the job description that you have pulled up for?
So before I started, you guys had hired Jennifer Susan Roy as a health director. And I don't know if that's the same route you are.
Assistant.
What was that?
She was an inspection assistant. She didn't direct anybody.
Everything she signed off of was health director.
Is it what is? Sanitarian is.
Yeah,
health-
registered RS would do
Yeah.
things like
That's what it sounds like you want. So, well, there would be a job description that would go with that.
right. But do we want someone that, I know Kate, you said something about, if you can't get your ServSafe re-upped, are we going to be looking for help with food inspections as well?
Right. And my term is up in June, so
No,
if somebody
No,
else
it's
doesn't pick,
fine.
no.
so if somebody doesn't pick up ServSafe, what are we gonna do? Right? It becomes a kind of big gaping
That's the
hole in
hole.
the activities of the board.
Yeah. So do we want to hire an inspector who can cover all of it? So we're not backpedaling come June if we don't have someone who would do food inspections. I just want to make sure we're covered so we're not trying to put out fires that we can kind of foresee now, if that makes sense.
Well,
Again, it sounds like you want to register sanitarian, so we probably need to know what the description is and what the salary is.
Mm-hmm. So I was looking back at when you guys hired Jen, she set her own fees. that she came with. We didn't have a salary. We didn't set an hourly wage. We didn't
Yeah,
We
and it was
any of
it,
that. It was she kind of ran the show when she was hired.
she gave us a basic rate. We discussed it.
Yeah.
We looked at it was a per need ad hoc type thing where she was going to fill in and support the board when nobody was available to do an inspection or whatever. And in the case where there was a a personal conflict or a series of personal conflicts, be that kind of third party. And I think ultimately we didn't use a ton of her time or services before we but that's how it was structured.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily a full-time position. It wasn't a it was
Per diem.
a per diem type thing. And are we in fact talking about hiring a health agent, or are we talking about using a third party service as part of a regional service point?
So we have the option of the third party service with MPHN, and there's other networks as well that we can look at. I know Kathy, you kind of had gone when out in the field, you had spoken with Rich Stevens about maybe him helping. And he kind of passed along the information to Tim Newton, who's a health agent in Greenfield in New Salem. And he reached out to us and sent in his resume just so we had it on file. But I told them that we don't even know what we're looking for really right now. So I'd hold it, but I don't know. I guess we need to figure out what we're looking for before we can put out a job description is what I'm saying.
I would like to make a motion that we table this till the next meeting, and next week I can probably spend some time looking over Jennifer's previous, what we had set up with her, and try and come up with a couple options of how we could provide those services. I hesitate to go beyond the nursing service that we're contracting out because you get into not knowing who you're dealing with. I guess I'm too personal that way, but we know who Jennifer was. She came and interviewed, and we knew what kind of service she was going to provide. And I guess I'd still like to see that type of help
Right.
for septic / perks and or for food inspections. I'd like to have that kind of help.
So Jen was signing off on plans and doing plan reviews. I came across one today for 21 Hill Road, and she also did one for 10 Main Street that was approved. I sent it over to Matt because she's not qualified to do those reviews. She doesn't have her inspector. She doesn't have her installer. She doesn't have an RS. She's not an engineer. And I did confirm that she wasn't qualified to do that. So that's my hesitation too, is that if we hire someone great, but we really need to make sure we know who we're hiring.
Right. On a couple of those, she was asked to review something because we were trying to get a second opinion. There should have been someone else's review of those plans already in the file.
Yeah, everything was signed off by her. Like, I kind of questioned it because I pulled out a set of plans and she was circling some weird things on them. And that was when I first started, and I brought it to Ryan's attention, and then that was kind of when she disappeared too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we should probably, I just want to make sure whatever we put out, we make it, super clear, and then triple check if we're hiring someone outside.
Phil Ledger might be a good resource to talk to and find out, because he does a lot of this stuff.
That would be awesome.
and has been doing it for what,
Forever.
decades? Yeah.
But I trained
So-
originally under Phil. He's great.
Would you guys, one of you or both, send me his contact information?
Sure.
We don't have to do it now.
No.
Right. Anything else on that specific topic? If I can get back to the agenda. All right. Where are we now? Churches.
Churches.
Do tell Mel.
So, we had gotten a complaint call from an anonymous because they were, I guess they were a member of the congregation up at the church on Williamsville Road, the Evangelical Church. They were concerned with the lack of mask wearing at services and communal meals after holding services. So what I did on the Board of Health end is I sent a letter out to all places of worship in Hubbardston and asked for comprehensive or copies of their reopening plans so we could review them. And it was just a very generic, we're looking out for everyone. He can get us a copy so we can review and have it on file type letter. So I haven't gotten any back so far, but Kathy did get to go up to the church, and you spoke with Scott and Mary, right?
I spoke with two women. Scott was not there.
Oh.
They accepted the letter. I asked if I could take their photo so that, I had proof that I had dropped it off. And I have photos of them standing shoulder to shoulder inside the building with no masks. And they said that they were both involved in the health field and knew exactly what they should be doing and were always doing the right thing. So, but I have photos of them without wearing masks.
And then there was a concern with the caller too, that there was someone living at the church. So I spoke with our building commissioner, who they have permits out, so they are aware of what's happening. And our zoning enforcement officer kind of took the stance that there's nothing that says someone can't live there. Everything that is at the church meets minimum standard of habitation. So they have hot water, there's a toilet, they're working on putting a shower in, which is permitted. They have a wood stove, which they received a permit for heat source. So the building side is being taken care of. They are inspecting it for what's called a 110 inspection, which is a safety inspection that's supposed to happen every year. So any concerns that stem off that 110 inspection, they're going to let the Board of Health know as well.
Excellent. Thanks for
Are they,
following up on that.
Are they planning on like creating an apartment so that it would be like a parsonage or something for the?
So
Yeah.
it's their maintenance man who's living there. So I don't know, would we consider that a parsonage or not? And not something that the zoning enforcement officer is looking at. And we're trying to figure out the history and the permissions that he got to create this living space for himself, because it sounds like there's quite a bit of the church that's been taken over. And then once that takes place and we figure out what's going on, our assessing department is also going to look at it and take a look at how we're going to be coding it, and if it's allowed and all that good stuff.
I've only been there once, and it was in the fellowship hall, and there's a pretty decent space down there. So I haven't been in the sanctuary at all, but I've been down in the fellowship. Now, it was a pretty decent space down there.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a bit of it has been eaten up. But again, if it's been allowed, who are we to say you can't do this to your space? As long as it's to code, we're good to go. There's nothing we should be worried about. So, and they are bringing it to our standards by having all the, the amenities they need. And so, like I said, the 110 inspection will take place, and we'll go from there.
Very good. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to old business. So food inspections. I have nothing to add. I have actually have a surgery coming up in 2 weeks, and I have a project due in 2 weeks. So I'm literally working every day, every week. So there are no weekends for me, and my work days are like 12 to 18 hours. So not really been able to do inspections.
Mallory, you said Riata's last Sunday is the 8th?
Yes,
Okay.
or the week of the 8th if that's not a Sunday. I think it is though. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kate, I will get out to Riata that Sunday. Okay,
Yep, that would be terrific. Though
Yeah.
during the week, for the school, that kind of thing is like near impossible.
okay.
Just, I mean,
Riata and
I can,
school. Got it. I'll get them done in the next 2 weeks.
if you end up picking a day and you just call me and I'm randomly available, I'll come with you.
Okay. Riata is going to be Sunday the 8th. Rain or shine or snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than likely snow.
Yeah.
All right. And budget spreadsheet.
So I sent over what we had, didn't have much. We haven't had any bills come in, so except for which is kind of at the bottom. So the MPHN bill, I need to pay. I think we tabled it last meeting, but I need to pay the nurse. So am I okay to pay the nurse part?
I make a motion that we pay the MPHN nursing service fee for that is due.
Thank you.
Anyone second?
Second,
Oh, been seconds. All right. Judy? All in
Oh,
favor?
fine.
Colleen?
Yes,
Vin?
yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Kate's a yes. All right. And the EDS plan.
Yeah, so I sent that. Judy sent over the revised EDS plan she's been working on. So I sent it to everyone to review and to make any comments or questions or.
When did you send that again, Mallory? So I can quickly find it again.
Let's see. It was a while, like last week. It was on Monday the 19th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll get it in a second here.
Did anybody read it?
I did.
I have to admit I did not read it yet.
I got to like page 60.
Oh, very good.
Did you fall asleep?
No,
It was much easier to read when Judy and I did it together as a team.
I read technical documents for my job, so, and I read code for a living, so nothing can be more boring than code. Just saying.
Yeah.
This is good.
I couldn't do it.
I will go over it before next meeting.
Okay.
Would you resend it to me? I don't
Sure.
have. Thank you.
There was a piece of it that I had a question about. So, page 12. As I said, I only got through page 60, but it says Board of Health members must be registered to the HHAN system. What's the process for that?
There's somebody that you just through DPH, and then they'll sign you on. I think I'll find out the exact way. There's one or two steps. Once you know, they usually like a list of who the Board of Health members are, and then you can all sign on to it. And
Yeah,
then
so-
you get alerts. So I'll get the way to do it. It's been a long time since I had to think about that, so.
Right.
The
I'll find
last
out.
time, the last
Good.
time we did the drill,
Yeah.
December, last December, Katrina, I think it was, helped us all get signed up. So I still have my directions, Judy, so I can send them over if you want.
Okay,
And the
Yeah.
and the other part of that, Mallory, is we went through that exercise of outlining, things that board members needed to be informed of, aware of, certain kind of baseline, right, in
Mhm.
terms of responsibilities, laws. Maybe add this to like new member onboarding.
Oh, good idea.
that's a good thought.
I think we should kind of,
Have like an
Okay.
onboarding checklist, right? Of like,
yeah, like Ryan put together a really good checklist when I was the first one to go through it when I started with the town. So to do the same thing for Board of Health and kind of to be able to hand over like a binder that says, here you go. Why don't you start here? I think would be
Right.
great. In my spare time.
yeah, and it doesn't. I mean, a lot of the resources are online, and it's difficult because you don't want to give people URLs because they go stale and they get broken. So you
Mhm.
kind of want to give general information about, what you want to like. I think a checklist is perfect because it's one
Yeah.
of those things. It's ubiquitous and it's hopefully written in such a way that it doesn't change over time. So, these are the things to be aware of. We have an EDS plan. You need to sign up for this, emergency system. You need to be acquainted with, the general laws in this section, and the board responsibilities listed on the website for the Mass Board of Health. And it can be that generic. And then it's, less likely to be changed.
Perfect.
But yeah.
I'm sure there's already a list like that out there.
Yeah. I'm sure. There was a like list of responsibilities for a Board of Health that the Mass Board of Health puts out in their orientation practice and stuff that was really good and informative, but it'd be interesting. And I think it goes back to that whole being able to have transparency for the public that Ryan had spoke to about saying, hey, what skills do people need within the board if they're going to be doing different types of inspections, et cetera, right? Like what's the process? And it
Perfect.
could, doesn't have to be perfect. I also like that, Judy, I liked the titles. The incident commander, like, okay. Do we vote like when there's an emergency or are these like, how are those roles assigned? These are the things that I start thinking of because I'm a process person. So I'm like,
We get a big hat. We put everyone's name into it.
right. But yeah. And in terms of the EDS plan, what are the next steps for the board? Obviously, read through it in our spare time,
Right,
print out a copy, wallpaper our bathrooms, whatever we
yes.
need to do.
Exactly.
Do we anticipate any of these specifically like for mass vaccination, like with COVID and the vaccine, on the horizon somewhere? Do we expect the rollout of the vaccine, or have you heard anything that the rollout's going to be anything other than privately administered?
There's hoping that the rollout of a vaccine will be next August, September for the general public. The last, they actually had they reviewed the tier system that they're going to use because they had to submit their plan. The state had to submit their plan this week to CDC. There is a tier system. So long-term care, and elderly and EMS and healthcare workers are going to be top priority. They're the first tier, and then it'll work from there. But the plan, and from what I'm hearing from DPH, is they really want people to think about not only the vaccine clinics that you would have, like I say, in a gym, and how you're going to lay it out and everything, but they also want you to think about walking through a drive-through vaccine clinic. And I did do one in Royalston, and it works very well. And one thing I noticed there, even though it was a small clinic, about 50 cars came through, you know, you have to duplicate everything. So you can't just have one person or two people at a station. If you're going to have two people at a station, you need to think about 4 people at that station. Otherwise, things get slowed. So, you know, doubling up on your volunteers is probably something to think about for a drive-in. But that's basically where we're at, is like make your plans, think about it, think about drive-through clinics, think about, you know, in-house clinics, you know, and what about your storage? Do you have all your supplies? What are you going to need for supplies, and how? And they're probably going to provide a lot of it, but there may be some supplies that we may need to purchase ourselves, like a refrigerator. So those kinds of things. That's actually what they talked about today, was start thinking ahead, start thinking about what you may need and may not need.
Yeah, I found it actually interesting the way Leominster Hospital did their COVID spit tests. Like, I went to 2 different places because my doctor didn't work with Leominster Hospital, so I had to go to one place and my husband went somewhere else. So mine was drive up, stick you in the face with a Q-tip, and drive away. His was drive up, get a piece of paper and a cup. You were told to park in a specific place, and the piece of paper had a phone number. And when you're done spitting in the cup, you had to call them for someone to come collect the sample, and then you could leave. It was like the weirdest process. I was like, okay. But I digress.
And speaking of testing, the Binex system of testing has been approved by MDPH for schools. So it's going to be, they're going to start training the school nurses to administer. So if a child comes in and they're coughing and sneezing, and, you know, they can take a test right there on site. So we'll see. Abbott also has a system that runs at a 97% accuracy rate. So we'll see what rolls out in the next couple months, but that's where we're at.
Yeah. And rapid testing is becoming the norm that it's being pushed by partnerships with like Quest Labs and like the airlines. So I know in my industry, the airlines are actively setting up testing for international flights so that somebody can be tested as they board. And by the time they land, let's say in Hong Kong, they get the result and it goes with them through customs and they're allowed to not quarantine, for example. Right.
I heard that places like Orlando International and stuff like that are doing it too for domestic flights. You can hop on or get to the airport, do your COVID test, and then that eliminates the lag time when you get home.
Yep, they're doing that as well. But the airlines are pushing for it really hard and funding it and setting up the protocols and the processes with the airports and the labs. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting when we go to every airport, instead of seeing just a Dunkin' Donuts, you're going to see like Quest Labs.
No Chick-fil-A, but here you go. Stick a zipper nose.
You want that cold, you're gonna have it here.
Right
the
next
testing
to
is getting much better, though. I mean, because they want to see the PCR. The PCR is definitely still remains as the test to have. So but at least now you can spit and get the PCR off of the spit.
Unless you're like my husband and take 20 minutes to do it. I was like, think about a hamburger or something. Like, can we go now? How long is this going to take?
Just
I could build that thing up.
Bacon sizzling.
Like, I was like, how did you have that little saliva? Like, are you dead? It was horrible. Anyway, I digress. All right. Anything else on the old business? Did we cover MPHN under?
Yeah.
And unexpected subjects?
2 things.
Sure.
First, we, under the budget, we did get a bill from Robert Meager for mowing the landfill
Oh my
again.
gosh, I totally forgot that.
He does it twice a year. whenever I've seen it done, he does a fine job. And so I think we need to approve his $260 for mowing the landfill. In regards to the landfill, Mallory, we're staying on top of the proper number of tests per year so we can decrease that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We did let Mark know that and he's working towards too. He'll be doing our permit and the request for us.
Okay. Good.
That's it.
Don't want to lose track of that. Okay, so we can go ahead and pay the mowing.
Thank you.
Then, did everyone get a copy of the official roster of local public health prepared by the MHOA of Massachusetts? Did everyone get that in the mail?
I didn't.
Nope.
Okay. So I guess it was supposed to be sent to the chairman, and it came to me, which is great, with a little mask, but because I'm chair, but it has Lucinda Oates as chair again. And she hasn't been chair for 2 years, so somehow we got to get that corrected.
I can reach out to them.
Thank you, Mallory. Sorry, phone's ringing. I'm going to ignore it.
All right. And anything else before we move
I
on
have-
to?
I ran into Bella the other day and I asked her how the generator was going. And apparently they have had no need to use it because they have had nothing that they need to test. But she mentioned that if they want to use their lights in the recycling center, they'll need a transfer switch, which needs to be electrically hooked up so that they can plug in the lights to the generator.
You're right.
Um,
You need to contact Ken.
That's, I know there are transfer switches that are very expensive, but it doesn't sound like we'd need one of those, but I think it's a professional installation, so. And then she also mentioned that if the possibility, if it could be possible for the other organization that she is with, the CR, Citizen Responding, I'm not sure what it means, but it's an emergency response group here in town, a Citizens Emergency Response Group, that if they need one, could they use the generator? So I told her I'd bring it up at the meeting, but I'm sorry, I can't remember what group she said. Citizens.
Yeah.
Colleen, is that the group that you're talking about?
Excuse me?
Is that, Colleen, is that the one that Bella's participates in?
We're not hearing you, Colleen.
Okay,
you
do you
go.
hear me now?
There-
Okay, did she say it was the Citizens Emergency Response Team, Vinny?
That's it. CEST, right?
CERT.
CERT.
Yeah. That's-
CERT.
Is that
That's a
what she-
town group.
It's a what?
Well, you're part of it. It's the town group. It's,
Oh, yeah,
Town-
yeah. I didn't understand what you said there.
oh, okay.
No, that's what Bella and I are on, and with Judy and a few other people. I don't
Yes.
know. Do we have a gen set in that trailer, Judy? I forget.
I thought we did.
I thought we did too, but I can't remember if that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, you and I have to go down anyway, because we've got some new supplies we have to
Okay,
inventory, but we can check it out. We can check and see.
okay. But to answer Bella's question, you'd have to, I don't know how that works with this group.
Yeah,
With the BH.
yeah. That's one of the benefits of having a portable generator, is that for other types of uses, such as the CERT group, it should be available for that.
Yeah, or if there was an emergency and the Board of Health was involved with the CERT team, and then of
Yeah,
course,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we,
I'm all for it.
well, I would imagine that if there was a big emergency in town, I think all the groups like the CERT team and Board of Health and everybody, we'd all be working together.
Absolutely.
So we have to check out the need for a switch.
Yep,
like-
I'll get a hold of Ken, the electrician.
The next thing that we'll hear is that electricity has stopped functioning and physics has broke and we just can't have electricity.
Well, that's a weekly occurrence on some street now.
Yeah, on my street, right?
Yep, that and no internet.
We have snow coming this week, so guess who?
Oh, we
Yeah.
built the gas
Lose it
cans
this
for
week.
our generators already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
we
have-
have two.
Yep, we're ready to because it happens all the time. And my husband's famous last words in the last outage was something to the effect of, "I didn't realize when we moved to Hubbardston we were moving to a third world country." It's like, I like it here. You're gonna have to get over it. Sorry.
Hey, this isn't the big city, you know?
Exactly. You can't have electricity when you want it. What's
That's-
wrong with you?
Actually, Dennis and I have threatened a couple of times to move to Warwick, where there's like 200 people.
I
'cause
don't
it's
blame you.
too crowded here.
Right?
Try to
Alright,
get
and-
away from National Grid. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right. You're still in the National Grid. Anyway, so unexpected subjects. Anything else? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn if somebody'd like to.
So moved.
So moved.
I second.
Everyone raise their hand if they're for it.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you all.